Okay, so it kind of feels a bit mad, doesn't it, to start talking playoffs when we're kind of early, into what is now month 3 of a brand new league. But, given how fast-paced this inaugural season's going, we kind of know to think about that. Yes, because we now have got the details regarding the playoff format, and this is so interesting. It's just so exciting. So we got the news alongside the details for the format for this year's draft. But I decided I wanted to do them as 2 separate videos because I wanted to do my thoughts on them individually, give them each topic more focus. So do the playoffs today, and then we'll talk about the draft in what will be our next Spurs episode. So this is so exciting. So we kind of knew already that the top 4 were going to qualify for the playoffs, but we didn't really know how that was going to actually work, and now we do. So here's how it works. The top 4 teams in the league at the end of the regular season play will qualify for this year's playoffs, which will be 2 rounds, a semi-final and a final. Both those rounds will be a best of 5, and just like the playoffs will commence on the week of May the 6th. So not long after regular season finishes. Let me look up what that means for Minnesota. Because I don't think for us it's going to be that long of a a layoff before we have to go straight in. The last regular season game for Minnesota is May the 4th. Will be in. Oh, the last. Sorry. So after at Toronto. Wow. Okay. So ideally, probably you have to maybe start past the end of the week, May the 6th, because Toronto's gonna lock a spot. No offense, also Toronto's gonna lock spots. You can't then start their time on the next day, right? You gotta start maybe the 8th, maybe May the 8th or something like that. The playoffs, but anyway. The week commencing May the 6th, where the playoffs will begin. It's 2 rounds, the semi-final and the final. Both those rounds will be best of 5. Like I say, it's the top 4 teams in the regular season standings who will qualify for the playoffs. And right now, 3 of those spots are pretty much locked in. This is no offense to PWHL Ottawa or PWHL New York, but I think for me right now, 3 of those 4 spots are locked in. I think it's fairly confident that we in Minnesota are definitely going to lock a spot. I think it's certain that Montreal are going to lock in a spot, and Toronto, who you would have thought at the start of the season, given the bad start they had, but since February they have turned the page, they've flipped the script. Toronto, I think, is now pretty much confident to get a spot. So 3 of those 4 spots locked in. And honestly, I think it's going to be a dogfight between PWHL Boston and PWHL New York for that last spot. And I'm just not sure who it's going to be. So at the time of recording this video in mid-March, 3 of the 4 playoff spots, I believe, are firmly locked in. The question is who gets the 4th spot, I don't know. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay, so here's how it works. Here's how it works in the semi-finals. So the team that finishes first in the regular season standings, and what a three-horse battle that is right now between us, Montreal, and Toronto. Yeah, Toronto could still be in it. It's not in it. The race for first is no longer a two-horse race between us and Montreal. It's firmly now a three-horse race between all three teams that I just said are going to lock in power spots. But yeah. But if you thought first place was important, but if you didn't think first place was important before, you're gonna think it is now. Because the team that finishes in the regular season standings in first place gets to have an almighty advantage going in to the semi-final. Because the team that finishes first in the regular season standings will get the right to choose who they want as their semi-final opponent between the team that finishes in third and the team that finishes in fourth place. That is a massive, massive advantage. Because you basically, if you are the first place team, you basically can control your destiny over how you make your route to the final, challenge or not. Now, in other leagues, this would you easily could argue to go for the fourth place team because you'd look at them and think, well, they're the more easier to beat. But given how the PWHL has just been so tightly fought, I mean, there's still nothing to separate all the teams in the standings right now, and I think that is the beauty of our point system. That's the beauty of our point system, is you get the parity that is lacking in the National Hockey League, and you get those tightly close sport contests that is seriously lacking in the National Hockey League. Okay, this is the beauty of the Professional Women's Hockey League and its point system, because you get that parity that is non-existent right now in the National Hockey League. You get that parity, and everybody, even the last place team, which we're all aware, is competitive. Okay, so it's just, yeah. So if this was a National Hockey League, you probably would go and think, I'll pick the team that's in fourth, because I think they could be easier to whoop their backsides in the best of 5 round. Because obviously, in the best of 5 rounds I'm familiar with, obviously in Major League Baseball, you only need to win 3 games and you've won. You don't. We've not really had best of 5s in Major League, have we? The American Hockey League does. The American Hockey League does do best of 5s. The division semi-final and division finals are best of 5s, and then the conference buyout and the College Cup buyout are then best of 7s. But we haven't really seen it in the National Hockey League in its playoffs. Unless you work out the 2020 qualifying round, because that was best of 5. But in actual playoff competition, we've not really seen that in the majors, so this is going to be great here. Yeah, but back to how we are in the Professional Women's Hockey League. Would you really want to take the team that's finished 4th because you feel, oh, they're going to be easy to beat and it could be easy to get into the final? Knowing full well that team, depending who it is, if it's Boston, it could be Boston or New York, that team could easily beat you. So it's a double-edged sword. Because the third place team, you would go into the philosophy and the thinking of, the psychology thinking of, well, they really pushed us in the regular season and could have easily given us a run for our money to win first place. So we might well skip them and go in case it gets pushed all the way to the distance. And maybe the 4th place that we can maybe see that winning against them maybe like at least maybe go to game 4 potentially. But yeah, I don't know because obviously this is something else. I'm thinking, what if Minnesota was to finish first? What should we do? Do we go for the team in third or go for the team in 4th? Because there's arguments to choose either, but there's also arguments against them. So I think for the team that actually gets this privilege, they really will need to use their time wisely and think about, what's the right move. Yeah. And speaking of which, the team that does finish in first place will be given 24 hours to make that crucial decision. So even though the players will commence on the week of May the 6th, it doesn't mean they're going to start straight away. Because obviously the team person is going to give them 24 hours to make that crucial decision. So I think we're probably looking more at players maybe starting May the 8th, May the 9th, probably. Yeah, I can see that be the easy start. Given how the league's not going to finish because you play till May the 5th. You don't need to give the league winners 24 hours to choose their opponent. Then you've got to sort of schedule. So I actually see past start to May the 8th, May the 9th, 10th, probably the latest. But anyway. But yeah. Hey, so this is a really interesting format, and I think it'll be very interesting to see where we get to the end of the regular season. We see the team is in first overall. It'll be interesting to see what is their mindset going into that decision, and especially who they choose. Because really, the PWHL, there actually is no easy contest. Okay, all the games have been really, really tight, especially here in Minnesota. We've had some real tough scrapes, even against Ottawa, who right now are just struggling to get a foothold. Even they are giving us a good run for our money. But yeah, so it's an interesting situation, and I think it's brilliant for this league because you've got to really, really think, because this decision could actually play a factor into how well you do in the playoffs. Because if you choose the wrong semi-final opponent, then you could end up paying for it and missing out on the place in the finals. So we'll see. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, now the highest seeds will have home ice advantage for games 1, 2, and if necessary, 5 in each series, which means the upper team would get games 3 and, if necessary, 4. Because remember, it's a best of 5 series, so you only need to win 3 games to guarantee the series wins. And of course, the easy way to that is you win the first 3 outright for a sweep. But of course, the other scenarios are, of course, winning it 3-1 or 3-2 in terms of the series, depending on how far, depending if you get games 4 and 5. Yeah. Now, games requiring overtime will follow how it is done in the Stanley Cup, which I always hate, but hey ho. And that is, of course, you will have periods played on 5-on-5 until one team has managed to score the winning goal. So that's the only similarity that we've got for the Stanley Cup. From the Circus Day, that's the only similarity from the Stanley Cup we've got, and that is, of course, how overtime works. I've never been a fan of it, because some of them can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. As we've seen in recent years, of course, obviously, we had, well, this time last year, we had round 1, the Eastern Conference Finals between the Panthers and the Canes go 4 overtimes. Yeah, a couple of years back, actually, in the bubble, 2020, you had the Lightning and the Blue Jackets. They went for 5 overtimes. So, I don't like the way it's done, because it just then goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. We keep it here till next day. Yeah, never been a fan of it. Also, that's not good for fitness. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to remember these players, at the end of the day, they are still human. And eventually they will tire out eventually. So and especially if they have to play again the next day or the day after, it's not going to help try to conserve energy in the tank. Anyway, that's the only similarity taken from the Stanley Cup playoffs to be implemented into the PWHL playoffs. And that is, of course, the overtime rule. Yeah. But I think this is going to be really, really interesting. Because I don't think I really thought about playoffs back in the, at the start of the season. Because obviously with 16, was how's that going to work? You know, so I didn't really. Of course, I was never thinking too far ahead. For me, the focus was just the regular season, and then whatever they want to tell us to give us news, we can just we'll take it on stride. Yeah, but it's a great build. It's good that playoffs because I was going one playoffs, so it's good they're in. And I think probably it's the right way for now, given how we've got so many teams. But maybe one day when we grow the league further into maybe 8 teams, 10 teams, 12 or so more, then you could look at maybe doing like the four-round format that we're used to, obviously in the AHL. But we'll see. Or you could keep this system and do a qualifier round, and then you do the second part of the part. But it depends on what the part of the PHL wants to do. Because the PHL is not acting like all other hockey leagues. The PHL is its own league, so but we'll see. But for now, I think it's a brilliant system, and I think it's going to be really interesting now to see who finishes first, because the pressure is now on those three that I've already said that are locked in: Oz, Montreal, and Toronto. Because first place is going to be so crucial, because it could make or break the difference between how well we do in the playoffs. And I think it would be interesting to see which team that is. It would be interesting to see what they're thinking in terms of psychologically. It would be interesting to see what they're thinking in terms of who they will choose as their opponent. So that's going to be something really interesting to watch out for as we get closer to, obviously, the playoffs, and you start to work it out who is more likely going to be in first place. But if it wasn't crucial before, it is now. It is now, and the pressure is definitely on. It definitely is so on. So we've got to make the most of our remaining games this season. Just to, I think me with Minnesota, as long as we don't come third, I'm fine. If we don't get first place, then I'm very happy to take second. Because if we get second, then we know for certain we can't be touched by the team that finishes in first place. And we'll also have home advantage for at least our semi-final. The problem is, of course, we will not have control over who our opponent is. So for me, honestly, I think a lot of us would agree that Minnesota should try to push for getting first place, because we know they can. But I think for me, just to finish this video off, the next best case scenario would be to get second place, just so we can say for certain that we would have at least home advantage for our semi-final, and also we could not be touched by the team that finishes first. Because I personally, I would not want to be third or fourth and have the first place team pick us because they think they've got a better chance of beating us. No way, absolutely not. Yeah, so really exciting format for the players. It's gonna be interesting to see how this is gonna work, and yeah, so really exciting. But of course, it just puts that pressure now to try and get first place, doesn't it? It really does.